hearing this, then we're already dead. You might be hearing this a few months, years, centuries in the future. In any case, you're our only hope. We detected readings of some kinds of temporal rifts appearing throughout the ship, bridging the gap between the past and the present. We've noticed that we've been able to bring objects from our present back to the past, but haven't been so successful in the other direction. It's too late for us, but you may be able to change things. Change the past, save the future.
This is Paradox Rift, a game about time travel and portals. In this game, you play as an explorer from the far future, who enters a ship that has been deserted for many, many years. As you enter, you hear a recording in your headset that explains that everyone on the ship is dead, and it's up to you to figure out why. The voice explains that time rifts started appearing all throughout the ship, bridging the gap between the past and the present, and it's your job to use these rifts to make your way through the ship and change the outcome. This brings us to the game's central mechanic, cause and effect. Any object that you move in the past will move to that same location in the present. However, you are able to move objects from the present back to the past, as demonstrated in the game's tutorial puzzle, where the player must bring a cube from the present back to the past to open the door into the next level. The game's second main mechanic, the time portals, allows players to move back and forth between the two time periods seamlessly. The player must use their wits and spatial thinking to exploit these mechanics through 5 puzzles to make their way through the other end of the ship and beat the game. Level 2 expands upon the idea of Level 1 by making the player exploit cause and effect to bring a present cube back to its time period by changing the location of its past version. This level also introduces the idea of moving platforms that are able to move up and down or side to side when certain triggers are met. In the case of this level, a single pressure plate. The game's third level introduces laser emitters and receivers. Much like a pressure plate, the laser receiver triggers a change in the level when it has been powered by the laser, but it can be manipulated in certain ways. For example, the player can block the path of the laser using a cube, or they can redirect the laser's path by using a reflective cube. Lasers are also able to travel through portals into other time periods, which we demonstrate in the final step of this puzzle. Level 4 acts as a culmination of all the previous concepts, essentially repeating the same puzzles but in a new context. This puzzle was designed to make sure the player was paying attention to the game mechanics and understood how they interacted. The concept of this level is like a daisy chain, where the player must keep bringing the same cube up a set of floors by manipulating cause and effect. The principles of every puzzle mimics that of levels 1 and 2, with the end goal of raising a giant moving platform up to the top level, the final level of the game. This is the biggest puzzle in the game. On top of being a final test of all the knowledge gained during the level, we introduce the robot enemy who, if it spots the player, will attack them. The robot enemy serves to add a bit more tension to the puzzle, putting a bit more pressure on the player to solve the puzzle and escape safely. The structure of this puzzle acts as somewhat of a stealth mission too, a giant square hallway with little alcoves for the player to hide in. The presence of the robot was designed to be imposing and terrifying, with heavy mechanical footsteps and being almost double the height of the player. After managing to evade the robot and solve the final puzzle, the player can push the button at the end of the ship and escape. We put a lot of emphasis on making the player feel like they were a part of this world. Our starting screen is more than just a menu. It's the player's first exposure to our seamless portal mechanic, enhancing the surreal experience of going through one in VR. Every puzzle element in the game has a sound, from the cube hitting the floor, the doors opening, the laser receivers being turned on and off. By providing this kind of feedback, we're able to tell the player exactly what their actions are doing and how they are affecting the puzzle. We also added visual guides on the pressure plates and laser receivers to visually guide the player to what they are affecting and what they need to do to solve the puzzle. Every puzzle element sound is proximity based, and gets louder depending on how far away they are from the element. Even the portals emit a mysterious sound when you get closer to them. To give the player even more of a sense of presence in the world, we added ambient sounds in the background to make the player feel more like they're in a spaceship. In the present segments of the puzzles, we even add a pervasive alarm sound, both to signal the danger of this time period and also to differentiate it audibly from the past. Paradox Rift is a truly unique experience in VR that aims to challenge the player in a way VR games have never done before. It's the ultimate test of spatial and temporal thinking all in one. So, what are you waiting for? Change the past, save the future.